one time. And Ingrid, thank you for reminding me or letting me know. Ingrid asked about my mic being open, but where was the music? So here I am thinking everything was going along, because what I did was I plugged in the power for my phone, but I didn't actually plug in the connection for the sound to come through the system. So that's what happens. And this is why I always encourage to start early so that you can get those things worked out. You can settle your mind and just kind of get ready to do what we do in these spaces. But with that said, I think we have it taken care of at this point now. And I'll have to make that up to everyone and maybe play the track again so that we can get this thing started the way we like to. But I hope you're doing well. And thank you again for being here. I appreciate everyone's presence as always. I never take it for granted. And I know that you have a lot of things you could be doing with your time, but yet you choose to come and hang out with us here in the Confident Speaking community for a little while as we're all growing together. And I want to just tell everyone here in the beginning, once we get toward the end, because I'm going to give some people an opportunity to do the challenges. I know Grace wanted to do one last week and we ran out of time. And there were maybe a couple of other people that wanted to. And if I see them, I'll give them that opportunity. But we're going to do some challenges in about an hour, 15, hour and a half. And at the end, we're going to do one of the live quizzes again. And what I'm going to do with the live quiz, I'll post the link in the chat so you'll be able to access it. And we'll wait 2 or 3 minutes for people to join, those that want to participate. And I know I've waited a little longer than I should have, almost as if that's going to force people to feel like they want to join in. But we typically have about 8 to 10 people that get involved in that. And what I'm going to do, and this is by request from Grace, actually. She said, as a prize for the winner, what I could potentially do was do a one-on-one. So maybe a 20-minute Ask Me Anything session for the winner of the challenge. So keep that in mind, and we're going to do that toward the end. So you want to be here in case that is of interest to you. And just for the sake of reminding yourself and refreshing what we've discussed. And that's one of the bigger points of doing that quiz at the end, is to make sure that the things we discuss in the space don't just get discussed in the moment and we walk away and forget about it. I want to make sure that we reinforce what we discuss, what we understand, to make sure that it sticks. So you don't get it, because a lot of people spend a lot of money going to conferences and seminars, and they take all these notes, and the notes get put on their desk or under their desk or at the bottom of a drawer of all this stuff that they don't use, and they forget about it. So I just want to make sure we reiterate that and that it sticks again. So what I'll do now is I want to go ahead and say hello to Mama B. How are you, Mama B?
Oh, I am fantastic. I'm fantastic, Tim. You know me. Every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, I'm here and I'm fantastic. And so I just want to ask a question. When you say quiz, are you saying the game that we played before that was so much fun?
Yes. It's the live interactive quiz game that we'll do.
Oh, perfect. Because Shari must have heard that you are bringing it, I don't know, in her sleep, because she's showing up. And I'm ready. I'm ready. Shari, bring it on.
Absolutely. So that's what we're going to do, and it's fun. So everyone has enjoyed it so far when we've done that. We did a test to make sure that it worked, and to make sure people that felt like they wanted to get involved in it understood. But it's easy to follow, and I'll explain it once we get to that point as well. But Brenda, how are you today?
Good morning, everyone. It's 8:05. Hello to the room. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much for having me.
Outstanding. And something I want to do today, I want us to definitely have some new people come up. Some of you that have been joining for a while, and you haven't decided up until today that you were actually ready to say something. And I'm going to challenge some people during the course of the space today. And I may just send you a mic request. And I don't want you to run away from that. I don't want that to make you feel like you need to leave the space. If you don't accept it, that's fine. But I'm going to give some of you a little extra push today so that we continue getting comfortable being uncomfortable and we expand our comfort zones. It doesn't just happen. We have to make a decision that we're going to expand ourselves and do more than we've done before. And you already know, especially if you've been here more than once or twice, that this is an environment where we're absolutely here to support you. We're going to be there to help you work through whatever mistakes you feel like you're making, whatever struggles you feel like you may have as it pertains to your communication and your interaction, and simply believing in yourself. Sometimes that's all it is. We just don't have enough confidence and belief in ourselves that we can do it. And if you aren't sure what to say, simply come up and use the message that's in the chat, where you just do the brief introduction, where you tell us who you are, where you're from, and what it is you would like to learn, what you want to improve about yourself as it pertains to your communication. And that's all you have to say. You're welcome to say more if you want, but you don't have to. I really want to get more new people jumping in and participating in this, because this is the only way you're going to realize the true benefits and value of what we do in this space. So with that said, I see Richard's hand. So Richard, you want to say hello to everyone?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Tim, I had a question for you, sir. I noticed that on your the heading, the billboard for your space today, um, there's another profile image up there besides yours. It's something to do with online learning or something, and then your profile pictures on there, and then Mama B's. Are you on another device also with another account today? I'm just curious.
Ah, so let me think about which one you may be speaking of. I do have a second device that's connected that I use. So there is that. And it is a community space that we're doing also. And thank you for asking that question, Richard. Just to make that note for everyone, for those of you who may not understand how the community spaces work, you do need to be a member of the community, the confident speaking community, in order to post in the chat in the bubble. So that's something that the platform did, and I guess that helps reinforce engagement. So just a note to keep in mind. But yes, I do have a second device that's in the space with us as well, Richard. So what I want to do is I want to talk about finding balance in this digital world. And just a couple things, because I want to know more from you today. I want you to share some of your experiences, some of your challenges, and what it is that you're doing to find balance in this digital world. Everywhere we turn, there's a platform that everyone is trying to find friends and followers, trying to make money. But then you think about all the time, effort, and energy that's placed in these platforms. You have X, you have, I almost said MySpace. At one point we did, but you have X, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have Pinterest, you have TikTok, and it just goes on and on and on. And it amazes me when I see some of these programs that give you the option to automate some of your social media interactions. And it says you can have access to 40 different platforms. And I'm like, oh goodness, where was I? Where did all these platforms come from? And why do we need them all? But at the end of the day, what are we doing as it pertains to these platforms? Because they take up so much of our time. And I observe, I listen, and I notice how even for people that aren't necessarily trying to make money, it's still this rush and this urgency to be so connected to so many people and to so much of what's going on. And I wonder, how do people have time for their families? How do they have time for their jobs? Because I may pop on every now and then for a moment, and I see people that are on seemingly all day. And granted, I don't know their situation. They may not be working. They may be financially independent where they don't have to go to a job and that's what they get to do all day. And I admire that. I appreciate that. And I totally respect it. And just know that nothing that I say as it pertains to this has any judgment on anything that anyone does. It's just observations. But what I want for us to do is to be mindful how we choose to spend our time, because we don't get time back. And it's our most precious resource that we have. You can get money back, but you cannot get time back. So we want to really begin thinking about our time and how we're balancing our time, balancing our lives in these spaces. And I want to mention just a couple things because we can't do it all. And I know that once you get to a point, especially for those of you that host spaces or those of you that have gotten yourself or find yourself at a point where people recognize your picture, they recognize who you are, and now they want your time. They want your voice. They want your influence. And when I say influence, there sometimes people will invite you to do things because they feel as though your presence is going to enhance their presence. So keep that in mind as we find ourselves running around, going everywhere that we can, trying to take up or take in as much as we can. Be mindful because there's a limit. And I remember when I was in the military, speaking of limits, I had this day, there was this one particular day that I pushed my body to the limit. During that time frame, I used to drink a little alcohol, a little bit. But that isn't even relevant to this situation because it had nothing to do with alcohol in the moment. But I guess now you know, that's a little side note. But during this particular day, I remember a friend of mine, he had to go out of town, military duty. He had to go to the field for probably a week or two. And he left me his car. And I remember we had a good time that day. He was already gone. I was responsible for his car. And we were hanging out and we came back and we got a phone call and someone else called us and someone else wanted to do something else. And we went and hung out again. And after the second time of hanging out, and we're talking 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're on the way back home. And I stretched myself so much that I literally fell asleep at the traffic light. I fell asleep at the traffic light. I was so tired and didn't realize it. And this tends to happen because we can work through these things, we can push through as long as our minds are engaged. But when I took that moment to pause, my body said, I've been telling you, I'm tired, I'm done, I need a break. At the traffic light, I fell asleep. And once I woke up, I realized, oh goodness, and thank God there was no cops around. Me and the passenger were literally the only two people on that road at that point in time. So we began to drive off. And maybe 2-3 miles later, I wake up to the sound of the car sliding around on the side of the road in the grass. And I see this sign coming for the car. And I snatch the steering wheel and the sign, it hits the side of the car. It tears up 2 tires. It breaks one of the headlights on the car. And I'm sitting there like, wow, this isn't my car. I don't even think my friend I don't even think his plane had even taken off at this point. And we've already messed up his car. So I had to walk back to the barracks, probably 4 or 5 miles to get back. And that morning at 5:30 or so, I was able to make it up for PT and get ready for the day to get started. But when lunchtime came, instead of going to eat, I laid down and I crashed and I just stayed there. I was so tired that I didn't have the physical strength to get out of bed to go to formation. Some of my friends, some of my coworkers in my unit literally brought my sergeant up, my team chief, to my room to come check on me. He came to see how I was to make sure I was okay because my body said, I'm done. That's it. That's all I have to give. I did not have the energy to get up and go and get into this formation. And I just say all of that because I want us to keep in mind how easily we overlook our capacity and we focus on the things in front of us, not understanding the implications of just going without ever taking time to stop and think about what are we doing to ourselves? What are we actually gaining from what we're doing? And are we doing this in a healthy way? I know you want to be successful in your business. I know you want to grow your followers. I know you want to be influential, but I want you to also understand the importance of finding balance in this digital world so that you don't wear yourself out jumping from platform to platform, going from space to space, and putting yourself in the middle of everything that's going on because it takes a toll on you. It has an impact on your health from the stress of trying to keep up with the algorithm, trying to figure out what's it doing now. Because keep this in mind, everyone. Tell yourself, write this down. The house always wins. The house always wins. And when I say the house always wins, this is a reference to casinos where people go to gamble and they feel like they know how the machine is going to work. They know when it's going to give them the jackpot, but you don't. The house always wins. Just like the algorithm, X is the house. It always wins. So don't get caught up when you're supposed to be working, trying to feed the algorithm to boost yourself. The house always wins. And if it were to always stay the same, then that means it will be losing. So there's going to be this constant changing that's going on that you can never understand and keep up with to maximize for your benefit. And I don't want you to go down that or stay in that rabbit hole trying to chase that, the fame, the fortune, or whatever it is that you may be looking for, because it's going to have a strain on you. And some of the things that make it difficult to maintain balance is guilt, especially on these platforms. Guilt from the sense that you don't want people to feel as though you don't care about them. We feel guilty because someone comes to your space or someone sends you a message or they do something for you. And you feel guilty that if every time they have something going on, if you don't show up, you feel like you aren't being a good Twitter friend, a good buddy in those moments. And you can't do that to yourself. And I'm so grateful that my mother always taught us growing up that just because you do something for me doesn't mean I owe you anything. If you do something for me, do it because you want to, not because you expect something in return. And that's the mindset we have to have. So when we think about trying to find balance in this digital world, don't allow guilt to be the reason that you disrupt your life because you're trying to appease people that at the end of the day, if you stop and think about it, if you don't show up to someone's space, does your life change? How does your life change? Even if the person's space that you don't go to stops speaking to you, does your life actually change? And I don't think we really put that into perspective, and we allow the guilt to overtake us. And we have all these scenarios in our head as to what could go wrong, how the relationship could be changed and impacted if we don't show up all the time. And there are occasions where people will come in and apologize for not coming to this space for a period of time. You don't have to apologize to me for not being here, because I know this isn't your responsibility to be in this space. If there's value, I want you to come get it. I want you to benefit from what I committed to be here for each week. I didn't expect anyone to be here every week. I love it and I appreciate it when you're able to, because that means what's happening here is valuable and that is making a difference in your life. But I don't ever want you to feel guilty about doing anything that I'm doing or because you can't show up. You have a life, and I want you to prioritize where you're going to have the most impact in your life and the things that you do. And we have to keep that in mind. The FOMO, the fear of missing out that people have, if someone is doing something, someone has a new idea that they're presenting. Oh, I've got to be there because I don't want to get left out. Stop it. Stop it. that probably has nothing to do with your vision or dream anyway. So don't worry about missing out on something that isn't going to impact your life or move your vision forward. We get too caught up in that and we lose our balance. The unreasonable expectations that we have, feeling that if, especially for those that host spaces or those that are trying to build businesses on platforms, feeling as though if you don't grant unlimited access to people, then they won't appreciate you anymore. You fear that they're going to leave, that they'll stop following you, that they'll stop supporting you. So you make yourself so available that there's no time to do anything else. And that's an unreasonable expectation. And it's almost a sense of ego when you think about it, that we feel that we're so important that if we don't show up, then people won't get involved in something else. So keep that in mind. And you have to be honest. There's a lack of honesty with ourselves when it comes to the difficulty of finding balance in this digital world. We aren't honest with ourselves that we may have a little problem. I might be a little addicted to these platforms, and we have to be willing to say that to ourselves. If you wake up and jump on the space, if you go to sleep listening to spaces, if every time a new space opens, you're trying to jump in there, or at 10:30, you know you're supposed to be finishing a report at work and you're finding yourself in a space and you're supposed to be doing your work, there might be a problem. So we have to be honest with ourselves and be willing to admit that I need to fix this. I need to make some changes because I'm too involved in this and there is no balance in my life. Everything has become about the algorithm, trying to chase the house, trying to appease people, not wanting people to feel like I've let them down because I didn't show up for something. And I promise you, it gets easier the more you do it. You have to do it. You have to try and show yourself that it works. Just like anything else, don't go to a space that you get invited to one time. See how it feels. See what changes. And you'll see that the person still speaks to you the next day. It doesn't damage your relationship because you don't show up for all 5 spaces that someone did in 3 days. Because some people, again, you have to understand their purpose is different. Why they're doing it, it matters. And there's only so much that you have to give. And always remember my example that I woke up at the traffic light and 3 or 4 miles later, I woke up in the ditch because I pushed myself too hard. And this is why I don't drive tired anymore. If I'm sleepy, I'll pull over because I know that at some point the body is going to make a decision for me if I'm not willing to be wise enough and make it myself. It has happened, so I know. And the same thing goes with these platforms. And it may not be about you getting sleepy, but the fatigue that it puts on your brain, because listening in these spaces requires energy. It requires effort, and that is tiring, and it has an impact on your mental capacity. And when you think about your dreams, especially when you're chasing everyone else's space, when you're chasing all the new ideas and you're trying to be available with unlimited access to people, then it causes you to potentially lose focus on your dreams because now you aren't given the proper amount of time to the things that you said you really want to accomplish in life. So there's so many layers to this. But when we think about finding balance in this digital world, I want you to look at it like this. Let's see if we can use maps to help us find balance. Maps. Make small changes to test the impact on your life. Make small changes to test the impact on your life. Small changes could be saying, okay, well, thank you for the invite today. I can't make the space today. See how it goes. And this is how you begin to convince yourself and prove to yourself that it's okay to not show up all the time for everything that's happening on any platform. Ask people in your life what they see. You ask some people. If you're married, ask your spouse. Because I wonder when I hear people that are married and they have children, but every time I look at something, they're in a space. So I'm wondering, well, when is there time for the family? Because you need time to unwind yourself. You need time to be able to take a break from work. You need to be able to take a break from even from your family, but at the same time, they need their time. So when are they getting time? So ask the people in your life what they see. What are they experiencing as a result of this consumption in the digital world that you may have? And that will give you some insight as to where opportunities may be for you to make some changes so that you can put yourself in a position where it doesn't have such an impact on them. Because if it's impacting other people in your life, it's impacting you and you don't even realize it, because that changes the relationships that you have with people. As you disconnect from them more and more, it's almost like having an affair, because now these people on these pictures and then the messages that you're so consumed by, they become more important to you than your family, and you don't even realize it's happening. So then prioritize your primary needs. What are your primary needs? And I can say all of this because I found myself doing too much. And I was like, Tim, you know what? I get paid to do things, and there's things that are priorities in my life that I have to make sure I take care of. I need to make sure my check is secure. So that means I need to make sure I'm focusing, because as I tell you in the space, I can't read your comments and chats and then listen to you share your thoughts at the same time. I can only do one or the other. I can't even listen to music with lyrics while I work, because my mind will lock in on the lyrics, because I enjoy great lyrics. So I have to find music that just has a really soft undertone with no distractions in order for me to listen to music while I'm reading or working. But that's me taking time to understand myself. And that's what you have to do. But your family, your peace of mind, all of those things need to be prioritized. Prioritize your primary needs in life in order to help you do that. And set time limits, either daily or weekly time limits that you're going to give to this digital world, so that you don't get so consumed in other people that you lose sight of the ones that are right there with you, or the priorities that you have in your life that are going to sustain you, that are going to put food on your table, that are going to give you hugs at night when it's cold in the winter, or whatever those situations may be. You don't want to alienate those people who truly have impact in your life. So keep that in mind. So with that, I see we have some hands that are up. And before we get into the rest of the conversation with everyone, just so you all know, as a reminder, we use the timer in the space. And we do that because our purpose in here is to become more confident and effective communicators. And part of that process is learning to be more concise. So the timer puts us in a mindset where we become more thoughtful about what we say, and we begin to not overwhelm people with too many words, with too much. So think about what it is that you may want to share, and get in the habit of making notes. Write down your points so that you know exactly what it is you want to share with people and with us, and that you have the ability to share those points, and it won't take you as long to share them, because you are practicing the conciseness and you're understanding what your message is and how you want to share your message. So we use that timer, 2 minutes for some of the vets, but then we give 3 minutes for those that may be here for the first time speaking in the space, because we know there's an acclimation process. So I understand that. But what we'll do is we'll go over to Mama B, and then I think, let's see, I know Jay's hand was up. I can't remember, Christelle, if your hand was up before Jay's when you came up. But I see Mama B first. We'll go to Mama B and then we'll go to Jay. Okay, thanks, Christelle. Mama B, go ahead.
Yes. Just two short things. When you talked about the just because what your mom says, just because you do something for me doesn't mean I owe you anything. And I thought, yeah, that is just so true, because when you give to get from the person, that's really not true giving, right? True giving is just you give because you just want to give, not because you're trying to manipulate somebody else to give back, because it is just manipulation if you expect from the people. So yeah, that's one thing. But the second thing is, before the space, Tim, I was reading the post that you put in your timeline, on your timeline, about the little audio about the topic, random topic or something, and I started to listen to it, and I thought it was one of those, you know how online the stock pictures and stock images. I thought, oh, it's probably just a stock audio, and I was listening to it, and then I thought, oh, this is specific to our space, like the chime and the four P's. And then I thought, wait a minute, Tim has some explaining to do. Was that AI, Tim?
Yes, it was. It was. And that's part of me trying to find some balance. And I did. It was presented to me or asked about me using my own voice, which I may do it because I think I've explained it enough in spaces already that I could go and find one of those clips. But that was an easier way for me to do it. I already knew what needed to be said. It's written down, but that's part of me finding balance. Wherever we can, we look for those opportunities to find balance because I know how deep I can get into the weeds when I'm trying to put something together like that. So hopefully that one works for now.
It does.
Yes.
It actually sounds good. I'm like, that is so smart. Yeah, just get them AI people to do it. I'm done.
Absolutely. And it is part of efficiency as well, so that I don't have to explain every time how the challenge works when someone wants to do it. So I just make sure I refer everyone to go listen to that. And I'm going to post it at the top so you're able to get to it for those that may want to do one of the random topic challenges in a little while. You'll know exactly how it works. So thank you for that, Mama B. Go ahead, Jade.
Hey y'all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know we're all in different places in this world. Y'all, I'm officially on vacation. Okay, I know I only get 2 minutes, but I just wanted to say this. I think it's so important as a human being to have boundaries and that a work life and digital balance is important. It's important to have a realignment with self, and that maybe like even if you're working or with family, it's important sometimes to just put the phone away and do things that feeds your soul. And I'm not saying that spaces cannot feed your soul, but it doesn't necessarily feed your soul because that means that you need time for you. That means that it's times where even if you have a family, if you have a romantic relationship, if you have work, sometimes there's times where you need to, after all that, to step away and maybe read a book or maybe sometimes journal or maybe sometimes even if it's listening to music and cleaning or something of that sort to feed your soul. I'm very imperative to when I'm working or whatever as such. Most of the weekday I don't hop in spaces all the time. I take my time to realign with myself and feed my soul because if I'm running a multiple miles throughout the day, how do I know that what I'm doing is true? This is how people lose their mind and lose a sense of self. This is how people have mental health issues. And I will always share this. This happened recently. My mother recently had a stroke because she was pulling herself in multiple different ways and didn't have time for herself. She doesn't have, her kids are grown. Everybody's out the house, but her children, I'm not a parent, but I know anybody is a parent, they're going to be a parent to the day they pass away. I'm sorry, y'all, running my mouth, but it's so imperative to have a work-life balance and realigning with yourself, realigning with your soul's purpose, and really sit with yourself and put your phone away and just and get that mental clarity. Please sit with yourself. Please take care of yourself. And sometimes to put the phone away, get off a space, just go take a walk and love yourself. I just want to say that's it. Thank y'all.
Absolutely. And thank you, Jade. Yet another reminder and personal experience of doing too much. And it can happen so easily because we aren't paying attention. It's almost like an athlete. You've watched it, you may have seen an athlete in the game. Something happens in the play, and suddenly they're laying on the ground, and then someone has to come help them get off the field. But then 2 plays later, they're back in the game. So adrenaline has kicked in, and their body has given them the opportunity to sustain for a little bit longer. But when that adrenaline is gone, when it's no longer there to help them push through, now they deal with excruciating pain where they potentially made the injury worse than it would have been had they just stopped and taken a break. And we have to be mindful of that. So there are things that go on within our bodies, minds, and hearts that we don't think about, that we don't realize. And this isn't a marketing statement, but I wear my iWatch, my Apple Watch constantly because I use that to help me stay on top of what's going on with my body. I know when I haven't drank enough water because my heart rate, my resting heart rate tends to it increases a little bit. I know when I might be a little agitated or a little anxious somehow, where something on my mind is kind of has my mind racing a little bit because my heart rate begins to increase. So I'm paying attention to the details about myself so I'm able to manage and maintain balance in my life, whether it's the digital world or any world at all, well, digital world or outside of the digital world. So I want you to really pay more attention, pay closer attention to you. What's going on with you? You have to understand your body. You have to understand how people, environments, and circumstances affect you so that you don't allow yourself to be placed in those types of environments or relationships that are hurtful for you because there's nothing to gain. Why are we trying to appease, please, or impress people that when you are gone, they have no impact on your life? So be mindful of that. Thank you for sharing that, Jade. And just so everyone knows, so with the timer, there's a chime at 1:30, which means that you still have another 30 seconds left to summarize your thoughts. So don't be afraid or nervous about the first chime. There's a second one that lets you know when it gets to the end. The first one is just a reminder to summarize at that point. But thank you for that, Jade. So let's go now over to Danash. We got Danash and then Mohammed, Mike, Chris, and then Nino. Danash, how are you, sir? Always great to see you.
Hello, sir. It's good to see you all. But I think someone was before me, and I apologize if it was the case. I'm not sure. I can tell you the name. Maybe Mohat. I don't know. But using up my time right. So what I wanted to say is attention, and I keep saying this. Attention is one of your most precious currencies, and in your life you have only a certain amount of attention. One day, I mean, when you sleep, you recharge and everything, but you only have so much, and you need to be to maintain the balance. You need to be very mindful of how you spend your currency, how you spend your attention, because everything good, everything beneficial happens within your attention. So everything that that's when you collect memories, you make decisions, you do your job. Even if you do wellness and you just relax, but you are there, and that's your attention. And it needs to be you need to be mindful, and you need to know what's happening. And the platforms are very bad because platforms sometimes all they give for your attention is an advertisement, is commercial, is an opportunity to spend your money. So if all you get in return for your attention, for your most precious currency, all you get is a chance to spend your other currency, then it's a bad deal. So look for the good deals. Look for when you are listening to someone or you're talking to someone who really listens and tells something that adds to your thoughts. So you gain something. I know it sounds selfish, but it's not. It's really not. It's love. It's love exchange. It's attention exchange. It's thought exchange. What we are doing right here. I'm waiting for the chime, by the way. So there it goes. So this is just an advice, and I needed a productivity coach to get my balance because I wasn't aware of this. I wasn't mindful enough, and now I am. It takes an effort. So thank you for the mic.
Absolutely. And thank you for that additional perspective. And I like the way you position that. Look for the good deals, because at the end of the day, if we pay attention, a lot of environments we go to, there's something being sold on some level. And please know that I'm not knocking at all on any level. If someone is selling you something, if that's what they're doing and this is their business, by all means, I encourage them to do it and use it for the purpose that they have. Because if they're selling on X or if they're selling in the grocery store, there's no difference. At the end of the day, they have to eat. So I respect anyone that uses social media as their business, because it's a valuable option and it is very profitable for a lot of people who understand how to do it the right way. But even then, there's still balance that we have to have and maintain, because the house always wins. So we just still have to be wise. But look for the good deals. I love that, Daynash. And just pay attention. And I've said to people, and I don't see this like I used to back when crypto was really just, everyone was doing crypto. And I know there's still a lot of people doing crypto, but I think it has changed a little bit. This was more so when they were selling the NFTs, when everyone was saying they're building community. And I'm listening to them talk about we're such a community, but the entire time I'm observing the sales pitch. It's a community, yeah, a community of prospects. It's not a community of people that just care about one another. And the ones that were leading it, they were simply just buttering everyone up so that when it was time to have the launch party, this community of prospects would come together and buy them out, and then they disappear. So be mindful of what you're doing. And as Daynash said, look for the good deals. Don't just aimlessly follow along with something or someone because they say some things that are exciting, that are fun. Make sure that when you get involved, if you're going to give your time, because remember, if you give your time to them, that means someone else or some other area of your life is not getting time, which could potentially be your dream that you now are losing focus on to build someone else's dream in those moments. So just understand what you're doing and why. And if you do it because you want to, not because you're simply following aimlessly and have no understanding of what you're actually dealing with. And that's all part of balance. It's part of balance. Brenda, I see your hand, Brenda.
Okay. Thanks, Tim. I just want to read a couple comments. Kim also, she says that time is the coin of life, and she encourages us to spend it well. So I like that comment. And I really like what Daynash had to say, which was kind of the same thing. Attention is currency. And I forgot the other thing. But yeah, that's all for now. So thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. And that's a great point, Kim. Thank you for dropping that in the chat. Great reminder. So we'll go over now to Mohammed. So Mohammed, Mike, Chris, Nino, and then Liz. And just so everyone knows, because we invite people to come up and speak, well, we invite you to come up to take a first step. And we realize that for some people, the first step would simply be requesting to be a speaker. Even if you don't actually say anything, we're okay with that. That's why we only call on people if they raise their hand, because some of you may be up here that are just simply trying to get past the nerves of seeing the word speaker under your name. So don't worry. And if I send you a mic request, don't worry. You won't have to say anything unless you raise your hand. Then you are welcome to speak. But I don't want you to be afraid to at least come up. At the end of the day, we want you to make progress. Don't worry about perfection, because we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. I even have a video of myself making a mistake that I posted on the platform just so people know that it's okay to make mistakes. I'm comfortable with that because that's part of life. That's part of our ability to grow and get better. We have to be willing to make mistakes. So I wanted to throw that note in there that it's okay to be a speaker even if you don't say anything. So just keep that in mind. So we'll go now to Mohammed. How are you, sir? Welcome to the space today.
Welcome, Tim. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to start with Kef Halak, because this is the second time. If you can just answer back, that's real good.
Mumtaz.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Mr. Tim, I would like to thank you for the for what you said about balance in digital life. You already said the points that I was about to say, but let me just say it by my own way. So in points, you said prioritize that's exactly the thing. If you prioritize your time and what exactly you want there, it's going to benefit you. So missing your navigation online, that's a bad thing. So you must put your prioritize the time and effort that you put online. The second thing is set limitation and boundaries. Set goals. Okay, this is like a solution. Set goals and work to achieve them first. Then after that, maybe you can see what other things comes after that, after these goals. And the third thing is discipline yourself. Yeah, it must comes this way. Otherwise, there is no way out of that. If you keep just scrolling up all the time, that you will get to degree that you will be addictive to what you're doing. So there is a saying that our prophet said, that it indicates this. Yeah. Okay. Two blessings that people really neglect. It's the health and emptiness. So this is what people really should, pay attention to these two very good blessings. So that's all. And thank you so much, Tim.
Absolutely. Thank you for that as well. And I want everyone to think about this. This is a side note, but thinking about the timer, I want you to pay attention that when people share what they share within the time frame, you notice that there's a lot of information that they're able to share. Even though it's only 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes, it's still a lot of information. So this is helping you understand that that time can get away from you. It can really get away from you really fast, but you can have a lot to say in a short amount of time if you organize your thoughts. And that's what I want you to really think about. And I was thinking about what Jade said earlier about boundaries. And there are things that we say, things that people talk about a lot, and they come across as concepts at times. But what I want us to make sure that we do when we think about having boundaries, when we say we need to set boundaries, I want you to do it. Don't just talk about it because it's cute and that is nice to hear. Make sure you're actually doing it. Make sure you're paying attention to what's happening in your life, that you are observant of the people in your life, because all of this deals with balance. You don't want to, it's almost like having something sweet on one side and something sour on the other side. If you put too much sour, which could be negative people in your life, then you begin to tilt the scales and the impressions in your life to the negative side, which also has an impact on who you are and how you begin to behave. So be mindful of that. So this thing of balance is really important. And even with the idea of the negativity that people describe on the platform, keep in mind, be balanced. If you aren't on here all the time, you won't see that a lot. You won't see the negativity all the time. And if you manage the type of environments that you choose to be in and you set those boundaries, if you hang around positive people, you won't have those negative, sour experiences because you choose the right environment to be in that helps you thrive and not taint who you are. Because if you hang around a certain type of person long enough, you become who that person is. You become the same person. And now you get associated with their behavior, even if that isn't really who you are. So be mindful of that. But don't just say it. We have to do it. We have to live the things that we know are going to benefit us. But the discipline, Muhammad, absolutely. We have to have that discipline in order to do it and to set those goals. Be aware of the goals and be disciplined about it. Be willing to walk away, to turn the phone off. And I don't want anyone to answer out loud or raise your hand or anything, but how many of you won't go from one room to the next without going back to pick your phone up to take your phone when you go to a different room? It's little things like that we do, we don't think about and understand how it impacts us. It becomes a habit. We create these behaviors that are hard to break. Why can't we leave the phone in a different room for a few minutes? What do we lose? What hurts us? Because we want to be able to scroll. We want to see if someone wants us in a space. We want to show up because we want to make sure that, because if I show up for them, they're going to show up for me. So all of these things that go on in our head, we want to be mindful of. Go ahead, Mama B.
No, just to piggyback on what you said there, Tim, about taking your phone wherever you go. I really discovered just recently, I don't know, maybe a few months ago, I had for some reason be off the thing. I think I felt that I just needed a break from the spaces and from the platforms. And I realized how much I needed the detox, because it felt like it was a detox for me. And I didn't realize, because I didn't realize how much I needed the detox until I was detoxing. And I thought, oh my goodness, you can really get twisted in your mind, or in yourself, and not realize that this thing is inching up on you. The spaces and the FOMO and the just the rush of these digital space inches up on you without little by little, just like when you're cleaning your house. And your house could look neat and clean, but it's until you get down to the floor and you realize how dirty it was. You think, oh my goodness, where did this dirt come from? And so it is with the digital space. And I discovered that because I, for some reason, just had to take some few days off. And while I was taking those few days off, I realized, oh my goodness, I needed this detox. And so I took more days because I enjoyed it so much. So I just needed to say that. I'm done. Thank you.
It does. It makes a difference, especially, but you won't recognize that if we aren't intentional about understanding who we are and what we are experiencing. We have to be very intentional observation of what's impacting us. I know that if I eat, I used to really enjoy Honey Nut Cheerios. I could just eat those in the morning. But what I realized is that if I eat those for 3 or 4 days in a row, my nose would get runny. I would get the sniffles because I have a subtle, whatever it is, something in the Honey Nut Cheerios or cereal in general. My nose would get a little runny, and that's something that I recognized. So I take the time to understand what is impacting my life and how, so that I can decide what I need to do as far as balancing out what I'm doing. And I thank God that I don't have that problem with pecan pie and butter pecan ice cream. So I haven't gotten any sniffles with any of that. So I'm good there. But be mindful and attentive to what and who has an effect on your life that you may want to change. And one of the things that Muhammad said as well was the reward. He talked about rewarding yourself. And what I was going to mention was, even with spaces, if you're trying to figure out how to trim down, the way some people will use desserts as a reward after they exercise. Maybe you can reward yourself after you do something with time in a space. Be creative, whatever it is that motivates you to do something differently, because what works for me may not work for you. You have to figure out what works for you, but don't be afraid to explore and try to figure out what that is for you. So let's go now over to Mike. So it's Mike, Chris, Nino, Liz, and then one pen. Mike, how are you today, sir?
I'm very well. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're listening from.
Mike, I'm having a hard time hearing you. It sounds as if you're using something wireless or on the speakerphone, maybe.
Okay.
I tell you what, let's see if you can disconnect that. And what I'll do is I'll go to Chris, and then we'll see if that can get situated on your end, and then we'll come back to you after Chris.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go. Perfect.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Mike?
Oh my goodness. Can you hear me?
Mama B, can you tell him that? Can you hear him, Mama B?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, let him go ahead. He can go ahead and speak.
I'm very sorry. I was using my speaker. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're listening from. I was going to talk about 2 points, but Jade made mention of one of my points. However, I was going to add something to that. And she talked about setting boundaries. I was going to make mention of setting boundaries while you're online because it's very imperative. And this is what I'm going to say in addendum to that. I have a particular app that is called Stay Free. It helps you regulate your stay online. For instance, if you're coming on X on Twitter and you want to use like 30 minutes or 1 hour, you can program the timing, and once it reaches that time, it locks you up. And it's very fascinating that it comes with an inspiration that will tell you why you needed to leave at that point. So I think it's very important to set boundaries. If you're very disciplined, you're gonna stick to it. And another thing that I'd like to talk about is we have to be very intentional and mindful about the sort of content that we consume online, because I have realized that a lot of whack, a lot of very nasty content here on Twitter, not just on Twitter, on Facebook, on WhatsApp. So it's very, very imperative for our sanity to ensure that we are intentional about the sort of content that we use, that we consume here on Heads. My time is up. Thank you once again for having me, Mr. T. Very grateful.
Absolutely. And thank you for that, Mike. And just a reminder, everyone, the first chime simply means you have an additional 30 seconds to go ahead and summarize your thoughts. So you don't have to stop after the first chime. It's just a notice so you can begin to summarize. So keep that in mind. But thank you for sharing that, Mike. You know, and something that I recently did, I recently put a Pomodoro timer on my computer, and I tried that during work. And it actually is beneficial. It's helpful. And what that Pomodoro timer does is allow you to set a certain amount of minutes that you're going to just work intently, no distractions. If it's 25 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever your time frame is, and you just work. And then there's a timer, a chime. It lets you know that, okay, it's time to take a break. Now you get to get up and go do some push-ups or go walk around and get some sun for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever the time is. You get to decide what that rhythm is going to be for you, but it's helpful. And that's something that you could also potentially consider as we're thinking about finding balance in this digital world as it pertains to how much time you're going to spend in spaces or doing certain things. Because I'll tell myself, if I see someone that's having a space, I may not have been there for a while, and I'll say, well, I'm going to go for 15 minutes. And the next thing you know, everyone knows how long have I been in there when I say 15 minutes, hour and a half. Yeah, easy. The time just goes. And we don't know where this time goes and why it goes so fast, but it does. So having a timer or something that helps give you the cues to remind you that, okay, it's time to take a step back, because apparently we don't have the ability to monitor ourselves to not do too much. So figure out what works for you and do that. So let's go now over to, I think Nino. I know Nino was at work, so Nino had to step away. So let's go to Chris. Chris, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Thank you for having me. And Tim, you're fantastic at what you do. So thank you for hosting this space. So actually, I'm 23 years old. And when it comes to balancing digital life and our real life, we're actually not very good at it. What's concerning is these digital ecosystems they're designed to be addictive. They're designed to trigger trigger us psychologically, and they're designed to get us hooked onto the apps. They're designed to get us to spend as much money as possible. And if we don't have that self-control, if we're unable to say no, if we're unable to put the phone away, put the laptop away, put the screen away, it quickly takes over our lives. It quickly starts to affect other aspects of our lives. And I would like to say that a digital life it's not a real life. It's not real life. Real life is about connecting with people, face to face. It's about doing the things you like to do outside the screen. It's about, interacting with your loved ones and, everything that humans like to do. But the problem is these screens they're so addictive, and they just hook us on, and it just hurts our ability to connect outside of the screen. So just a few quick tips before, if you want to deal with your screen addiction, I would suggest scheduling some no screen time. I found that quite helpful for myself. And possibly limiting notifications, because notifications just attract you back to your phone. Whenever you put it away, you're back on the phone. And just prioritize real life connections. Thank you.
Brilliant. I love the way you summarized that and brought it all together right there in the end. So that was excellent, Chris. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out and notate that for everyone to be able to be aware of that. And one thing that I will say though, Chris, a lot of people will often say in real life and separate their experiences they have on these social platforms. And I won't say emphasize, but I like to make sure I point out to people that this is real life. The interactions you have on this platform, they're just as real as any interaction that you have with someone that you see face to face. And for a lot of people, the interactions that they have on these platforms are more endearing and they're more beneficial than some of the relationships that they have in person, because they don't have the comfort or feel the freedom to share things and have discussions that they would have with someone on this platform. And there's obvious reasons. If someone is in Nigeria or in Hungary, I probably won't see them face to face anytime soon. So it's a lot easier to share some things that might be a little more personal. But there are people that establish relationships where, and not just romantic, I've seen some of those kind of kick off on these platforms, and I'm not laughing as though it's funny. So just please forgive me if there was no offense intended with that. But there are people that will meet and connect, and they establish business ventures together. And when they establish business ventures working together as a result of a collaboration from these platforms, that money they get to spend is very real. So I always encourage people to make sure that you treat this platform and your interactions on this platform the same way that you do in person with people, because people are watching. These things are recorded. And even if you don't see the record button, the light flashing, there's still a record, I think at least 30 days that the platform maintains. So don't fool yourself into thinking that we can just come on here and do whatever and say anything and behave any type of way with no repercussions, because the potential is there. And not just from the bad side, but from the positive side as well. I'm an observer, and there are things that go on in my life, that go on in my mind, that I have ideas about. And there are times that I'm listening and I hear something someone says, and in my mind's like, that's someone. Check with them and see if they can help do that. If there's a way to provide an opportunity because of what I heard them say or how I've observed their character on this platform. So it's real, everyone. Please believe it's real. And just because there's a lot of negativity doesn't discount the reality of what's going on, because all of you at some point have seen these posts where Michael Thomas it no longer works for us because of what he did on social media. So it's real. And that's very real when that person can no longer pay their bills because they got fired because of their bad behavior on a social platform. So keep that in mind, everyone. But I love what you added, Chris, those 3 points. And again, I love the way that you summarized all of that and brought it all together and packaged it up in the end. So let's go over to Brenda. Did you have your hand up and put it down?
I did. I put my hand down.
Okay. Mama B, go ahead. And then we'll go to Liz after Mama B.
Yeah, it's interesting, Tim, because you said pretty much what I was gonna say when I raised my hand, and which is about that these platforms is not real. This stuff here, the connections that people make here, they are real. When you hear people say, "Oh, I've made more, deeper connections than I've made with in real life," this stuff is real. I met someone from this community actually. We met face to face, and the only difference was what was strange about it was that in my heart, I know them. And then, but looking at the face, I was reminded that I'm seeing them for the first time. So therefore, they're strangers. But in our hearts, and they said the same thing about me too. In our hearts, like, my goodness, it feels like we've known each other for a long time. So this of face to face being more valuable is actually old, because this digital space has debunked all of that, because we are making, with the right people, of course, when you meet and go to the spaces that align with you, and you meet the people that are your tribe, you make deeper connections, and even deeper sometimes than face to face, like initial face to face, because initial face to face, you get interrupted by all of the external stuff. But with audio, for some reason, there's something really genuine about only connecting with people just from their voice, their intonation, the vibration, whatever, all of the stuff that come with the voice. And then you hear their heart. We connect to them. You connect with their heart because you don't have any interruptions. So no, don't be fooled, people. These places, connecting here is a real thing, and you can make deeper connections with people here. I'm done speaking.
Absolutely. It's very true. And I mean, because what's really the difference? And this is where the intentional observation comes into play for us when we think about balance and anything else that we do. Don't get caught up in the things that people say. Think about it for yourself. Think about it from the perspective and influence that it has on your life. How does it affect you? And when you look at it through that lens, you see things differently and you begin to approach things differently, realizing that there can be some real value for you in these environments, in spite of all the negativity that so many people talk about. Because I don't experience that. I don't hear the negativity that I hear so many people describe, because I don't go to those environments. If I sense that, I leave. That's why I'm very diligent and vigilant about where you will see me in a space. If my name shows up on your screen in that purple pill at the top saying that I'm in a space, it's probably something where I'm learning something, or something where I may have been given an opportunity to try and add some value. But I don't do the late night cushy spaces and things like that. And I don't knock that. I mean, you have to enjoy yourself, enjoy life, do what you do that makes you happy, that makes you comfortable. So please know that I would never have any judgment of anything that any of you decide to do, because it's your life. But for me and what I do, there are some things that I don't want to, I can't be a part of. And it's a whole nother conversation that we'll have probably on Sunday soon for a few weeks. But just to be mindful of that, keep that in mind. And I wanted to say, we've got a few people. So I know there were a few people that were requesting to speak, and the stage was full. So I know Nukes was requesting. I know that, I'll say this. If you were requesting before, go ahead and request again. And what we'll do is we'll rotate some people that may have already spoken, But just to know that if we rotate you, unless you know you aren't going to say anything else, then you could drop down to listener so we can get some other people up. But you can always come back and speak again. But I want to give those other people an opportunity to come and share their thoughts. And what we're going to do, because Grace, I know, wants to do a challenge, and we're coming to you in just a moment, Liz. Grace wants to do a challenge. So at about 12:30, we're going to transition to the challenges. Now, let me share this with everyone. Spaces is terrible for being able to end on time. And I'm just as guilty as everyone else. But we are going to get there, which means toward the end, because we don't take new speakers after 1 o'clock. But that may mean that some people with their hands up toward the end may not get to speak. So everyone just be mindful, be thoughtful, be considerate once we get close to the end, that if there's other people that have their hands up wanting to share, try to keep them in mind, because I want to give them an opportunity, but there's the possibility some people with their hands up may not get to speak if we get toward the end, because I'm trying to do, at this point, 11 to 1:30. So we've got to do that. So with that said, let's go over now to Liz. Liz, how are you? I don't think I've met you before, Liz. How are you?
I am fantastic, Tim. It's a pleasure to meet you. Actually, I was just about to start catching some feelings for you, Tim, until you started laughing at internet romances. So I guess I'll just check myself. I'll rein that back. It's okay. It's okay. No, I'm kidding. But no, I'm happy to be here. The topic grabbed my attention because I am someone who's very deliberate about balance and awareness. And I've really enjoyed a lot of the perspectives that have been shared. And I do want to say that I agree that there is a lot of opportunity to make real connections with people in here. In fact, I'm someone, because I am always trying to be managing my time as best I can, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, because that way I can be doing other things like laundry or, mom stuff or whatever, and be taking that content in. And it's great. And so I've only been on Spaces for about a week now. My account's really old, but I never used Twitter until about a week ago. And so what has been so delightful for me is that there are tons of people out here in Xland who have read some of the same audiobooks I've listened to.
Excuse
and now
me, Liz, let me step in. Let me do this.
Sure.
So one of the things we do, because in the space, we are intentional about what we're doing, and you haven't done anything wrong. I want to say this. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and just let it out slowly. Because I don't want you to feel like you have to rush yourself. And if you feel nervous, that's okay. But these are the types of things that we do in the space. So we work on recognizing what we're experiencing and understanding how to manage it. So just take a breath and just relax. You're okay. All right?
Okay. Thank you for that. You picked up on that. I am rushing because I was trying to make sure I beat the timer. But okay, thank you. Thank you for the reminder to just kind of breathing. But yeah, I just wanted to say that what I appreciate is that it's given me access to people, because maybe, where you live, you might not have people in your immediate sphere who think like you think, or who are aspiring to do what you want to aspire to do, or who can't give you the support system. And so between finding like-minded people, but also not there's so much diversity too. I've spoken to people in Kenya, Morocco, just all over the world, and these are conversations I would have never otherwise had. And there has been so many amazing perspectives that have come to me through that. So, so I just wanted to just give my appreciation for the topic being discussed. And Tim, thank you again for your observation. That means a lot to me, actually. That's the first time somebody has given me a nod to pause and kind of reflect and breathe and not feel like I'm scrambling to get all my words out, because I have quite a few of them. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you guys. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. And that's what this space is about, Liz. The community is confident speaking. And there are nuances to us being more confident and effective communicators. That's our goal. And attentiveness. And as I was saying a moment ago, intentional observation. So we practice paying attention to details like that so that when we are interacting with people, we understand how, when, or if we need to do things like that or have those moments to help other people feel comfortable. So it's okay, but keep coming, keep practicing. And the more you do it, don't run from that feeling because we all have it. We all have those moments. I still get butterflies sometimes. And I've been teaching and speaking and doing things for 15, 20 years. And I still may have a moment where I feel butterflies. And it might only be 3 or 4 people in that environment. So we can't control when we have butterflies. But what we do is we can determine how we manage it when it happens. So I applaud you for sharing in spite of the nervousness that you were feeling, and it's okay. That's why we're here. It's so that we can grow, to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and to expand our comfort zone with what we're doing. So thank you for sharing that. And the one other thing that I'll mention to Liz's point, because Liz said that she had a lot of things she could share. But what we do is we figure out what's the most important thing that we want to share so that we're able to be concise. And that way you don't have to rush to beat the time because you've made a decision that I have 5 points that I know would be great to share, but what are the top 2? What are the 2 most impactful? So you can share those in a way. It's like making a nice dinner. Because I told my wife before, I said, honey, don't worry about cooking if you don't feel like cooking, because I can taste the love when she wants to cook something. It's just different. And the same applies when we're speaking and sharing our thoughts and ideas. When you have the ability to take your time and not rush through it, people feel and they connect with what you're saying, as opposed to feeling like they're on a roller coaster trying not to fall off when we're speaking too fast. So I just wanted to point that out there for everyone to be mindful of that. But that's what we do here, Liz. So thank you again for being here. Really appreciate that and the thoughts you shared. Brenda, I see your hand. And then after Brenda, we'll go to One Pen and then Dan and then Christelle. Yes, go ahead, Brenda.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not looking at my screen. I can't even see Liz, but Liz, I was you. I was so you. So I totally get it. And I love that Tim got you on that. Okay, I just want to share Tom's comment. And he says, you need to pay yourself first. You may have heard this before. It's the same context of financial health. But the same is true for your time. Before spending your time on social work or doom scrolling, take time for something that will fill you up emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And I'm going to add first. So thank you, Tom, for sharing that. And Nino is at work. And he said that he practices this every day. And I wanted to add for Liz, pitch, pace, pause. I'm learning it myself, girl.
Power pause.
Sorry, I unmuted on accident.
So I believe, Brenda, did you mute yourself on purpose?
Yes, sir. I was done.
Okay. I thought you ended mid-sentence. Okay. Thank you for that. And thank you, Tom, for that contribution. And everyone, as you see, you can definitely post in the chat so we can see those if you have some thoughts and you may not be quite ready to come up and share it verbally. You can share it in the chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin to say less now so that we can get to these hands. So we have now One Pen. How are you, sir? Ahmad?
Hello. Good evening, Mr. Tim. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. It's 5:20 p.m. here in Nigerian time. So good evening, Brenda, Mama B, Tom. It's good to always see you guys. Ingrid, it's always good to catch up with you guys. And I was just earlier today. I was just kind of trying to review my productivity time some few months ago compared to now. And I was like, oh, I'm actually very glad that I was able to create a balance between my time on social media and other digital platforms. So yes, it's for me, since I was able to create that balance. My offline productivity has actually increased significantly. Uh, Moving away, because for me, I just realized there's so much life outside social media, and of course, social media is it's a very for me it's a place where I come to relax, share professional experience, but I'm um, uh, more of the professional angle of social media. So, but of course, finding balance is it's what's super important for me. So thank you very much, Mr. Tim. I'm grateful for the time.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. And then what I heard and what you say is that you understand what you're doing and why you're using the platform, but you focus on the balance. And that's what we have to do. And that's the whole point of this conversation today. And I do want to welcome and thank those of you that have recently joined the space today. We appreciate your presence. And today we're discussing finding balance in this digital world because there's so much going on. There's so many platforms out there vying for our attention. Well, not vying, they're fighting for our attention. And we have to be very careful that we don't become so consumed with these platforms that we forget about the primary areas of life that require our focus. You don't want to get so caught up in these platforms that when you're supposed to be doing your presentation for work, that you're in a space trying to share your thoughts and ideas. And it happens to people when you should be listening to your children to see how their day went. And you're in a space talking about who knows what. So those are details and nuances that I wanted all of us to become more mindful of and understand the impact that it can potentially have on your life far beyond this platform. While the interactions, collaborations, and engagements are real on this platform, just like anything else, you don't want to go to the club too much with your best friends and leave your family at home. So it's the same thing. Just think about it that way. You may not be at the club, so I'm hoping no one in here is telling their spouse that, well, at least I'm at home. That isn't good enough. Being home and being presently aware and attentive is not the same as being at home. So there's no difference. You may as well be at the club if you're going to be on your phone in spaces, giving your attention, your joy, your laughter, your compassion to other people outside of the ones right there in front of you. Go ahead, Mama B.
Tim, are you saying I'm not present when I'm on this confident speaking at 11 a.m. Eastern every Saturday?
Well, and that's where the balance comes in, understanding what we're doing and why. So there's a balance. But if it was every day at 11 somewhere, and then at 3:00 somewhere else, and then at 6:00 there's another one that you're jumping in, that's what we want to be mindful of, that we give ourselves a break, not only for the people in our lives, but also for our own personal mental and physical well-being, because it takes a toll that we don't always see. Like they say, stress is a silent killer. It happens and you don't realize it's happening. But if you pay attention to your body and the impact that situations, people, and environments have on you, you will be able to recognize the stress that's going on. Like I said, my watch, when my resting heart rate increases, I know that I need to take a moment and figure out what's going on with me. What am I so focused on that has my heart rate increased? That in my mind, I don't think I'm bothered by it, but your heart doesn't lie to you. So I know that there's something that I need to tend to figure that out. So let's go now over to Dan. So Dan, Christelle, Nukes, and then Muhammad, and then Endless Days of Summer, Summer Rose Days. Dan, yes. How are you, Dan? Good to see you, sir.
Hello. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and good night, wherever it is in the world that you are. I just wanted to express gratitude first for the exchange between you, Tim, and Liz for that energy that you brought. I mean, we all felt the energy, and it's beautiful to see you here. I'm so glad you're here. And it really reminded me that we are always, as we navigate this digital life, monkeying around with sliders and faders of things that span dualities in our life. So, for example, we have an inner and outer connection. We have an impulsive and impactful connection. And what I want to focus on right now is the exertion and recuperation connection that we have. Sometimes things in our lives that can be recuperation for somebody else, it could be exertion for us. So that's just one thing to gain awareness of. My example would be running. I find running to be extremely recuperative. That's how I get my central nervous system reset every day after work, and just kind of as that buffer between work and family life. So I posted in the chat below about a song that I wrote, I think, 6 years ago now, about this very conversation. And it was part of a campaign called Dig, Sit, Commit. And in it, these 5 protocols of how we can show up online in this fully augmented reality that we have. I love that point that was brought up several times, that this is a segment of reality. So we can be inclusive, engaged, balanced, alert, and informed. So all of these things are more faders, more sliders that we can move around and reorient ourselves to find that harmony. I prefer the term harmony over balance. That's a me thing. That's something I'm working through semantically, because balance to me sometimes implies stagnation or just stillness. Like we're always trying to maintain this. These are equal parts. And in harmony, as a musician, I know that when we harmonize something, they don't have to be in equal parts. They can be a little of this and a lot of that. And then we change the slider and we find that rebalance of our lives moment to moment as we navigate exertion and recuperation.
Nice, Dan. Well said, sir.
And that was my cadence.
Yes, sir. That balance and recuperation. And I know immediately when you said running, I thought about running and doing yard work. Some people run to relax. Some people do yard work to relax. Both of those get my stress levels up, just the anticipation of doing that. So there is absolutely no stress relief for me in doing yard work or running. It definitely wears me out. And I was on the treadmill this morning when I was working out. I do circuits myself to make it easier for me psychologically. So I have a timer. I do 60 seconds of work, 30 seconds of rest, and I do that over the course of 30 minutes. So the treadmill was in one of those circuits today. But I get what you're saying. And that's why understanding what works for you is so important, because what works for Dan, obviously the running part would not help me recuperate at all in no form, shape, or fashion. So kudos to you, Dan, for knowing the difference. And I was wondering when someone was going to bring up the idea of balance. And I know most people tend to think about it from the perspective of the seesaw, where in order to have balance, there have to be equal parts on both sides. And there is stillness when it's truly balanced. But the perspective that I have on balance isn't the seesaw. My perspective of balance is walking a tightrope. If someone is on a tightrope, you don't want to get stuck and stop in the middle of that rope that's crossing a divide. You need to keep moving, but you need to maintain balance in order to get to the other side. So all of us have places we're trying to go. We have things that we're trying to do. So there's going to be this waving that goes on, and we have to make sure that as we move forward, we're maintaining the balance that allows us to not fall off, to not destroy our relationship, to not lose our job, to not compromise our health and wellness, because we're too much one way or the other, but we're still moving forward. And that's the perspective that I have about balance, not the seesaw. It's the tightrope walking from one cliff to the other because we're still moving forward in life. Dan, thank you for that, though, sir. I really appreciate that. So let's go now over to Chris Dale. Chris Dale, how are you?
Hi, Tim Brown, Mr. Tim Brown. I'm so good. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you all. Hi, Brenda and Mama B and Dan. It's so good to hear your voice. I have to say thank you for that masterful hosting and facilitation that you did with Liz, because it's kind of like when you're in church and the pastor starts healing over someone and you're like, yes, Lord, that's for me too. Everything you're saying is for me too. That's how it felt, because, you know, I had just put my hand up. So once I even put my hand up, my heart starts racing. And I'm listening to Liz, not even noticing how fast she's going, because look, I'm with her. Okay. So I'm like, I'm on the roller coaster ride with her. And so when you paused her, it paused me too. And then when I heard, and then to see the way, witness the way that she took that, because some people could have taken that in a really wrong way, and she took it in such a beautiful way. It was so humble and her heart was so open. And by the way, I loved the intro joke. So I was like, I was hook, line, sinker from the beginning joke. And that's why I was on the roller coaster ride. And then she slowed down, she took the feedback, she adjusted, and I literally adjusted with her. And that's the whole point, I guess. I mean, I could talk about 5 million things, but I try to just open and say, you know, Holy Spirit, speak through me. What would you like for me to say to the people? We are here. And I feel like what it keeps coming back to is, how can we get the most value out of this app for our lives? Because where it starts, where the balance issue comes in, and I've recently experienced this because I've gone back to full-time work and I have a 2-year-old. I've never had that before. I've never had a full-time job and a 2-year-old and an agency and an online community and ... and 30 seconds to speak. So I love it. And I'm so glad that I have this. So I just want to say, build relationships, find your people. And I'm going to wrap up with, remember that what did you say? I can't even remember. I'm that person that gets so distracted by the bell. But it was the gambling thing. What'd you say? The house
Always wins.
Thank you. The house always wins. So take your people off platform. That's the last thing. Thank you.
Absolutely. The house always wins. Everyone should write that down. The house always wins. And in this context, the house is the algorithm on whatever platform you're using. So be mindful of that. And, you know, I appreciate that Liz was open to that. But that, again, is one of the things that we do in this space. Everyone understands that if I say something, if anyone says something to you in the space, there's good intentions. It's filled with love, and it's all about all of us being better because we're growing together. And if you look at the guidelines for the space that's posted, it just shows you that there may be what I call teachable moments that allow all of us to be able to grow from. And if something offends anyone, please let me know so I can correct it and help you understand what the intent was, because it's possible that something may have been said that you didn't quite understand the way I intended it, or I may have not explained it in a way that it was clear enough. But that's all part of being confident and effective communicators, that we're willing to ask the additional questions and that we're also willing to make things right. Because at the end of the day, it's about the relationships and the healthy relationships and doing things the way that they need to be done so that we're all able to move forward together. So let's see here. So we now have, and I know that Nukes was up before we got there. And what I'll do is, so we have Nukes. Let me check something, because on my screen, some hands are showing and then some aren't for whatever reason. So I know Nukes and then Muhammad. And after Muhammad, what we'll do is we'll go to the challenges. We're going to go to the challenges after that. So what I'm going to do is, this is going to be a bit of a, I don't even want to use that word. you kind of jump in the fire, but it's going to be okay with the challenge. I promise you, it's going to be okay for those of you that still have your hand up. So Nukes, let's go to you, sir.
Hello everyone. Hope you guys doing good. Hello Tim, Brenda, Mom. Yeah. So what do like share about the topic of today, or there's some challenge?
Oh no, you can go ahead and share, and then we're going to
Perfect.
begin the challenges with Grace, though. Yeah, but you go ahead and share.
Okay, remind me how much time I have the timer. Is it like 1 minute? And
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. So like I try to analyze my life to see why I'm always having this low energy, and one of the reasons is I spent so much time on the screen, like especially when I was addicted for gaming. So sometimes I play 24 hours, I don't go sleep. Sometimes 2 days, I don't go sleep. And then my job is a software engineer. So again, I go to the same screen. So it's a bit hard. So I start analyzing, and I'm trying to give you a summary. And the summary, I find out that I am parts. So body, spirit, mind, and some people say body, mind, like that doesn't matter that much. But let's say there's a physical part and there's something that we don't know what it is. You can call it whatever. How I can feed each of these parts to get max performance. So the results or the summary is like sleep. That's simple. You sleep at some time, you wake up at some time. That you don't play with. You go to the bed in this time, you get up, eat the food, or water. You don't drink so much water, enough water. Workout, physical activity, sunlight, nature, oxygen. Have a conversation with not just people you love, but also the one that's new to you. And someone said that they are making the apps social addictive, but it only works for people that are not aware. The moment you are aware, then you are aware. You know the trick, so it shouldn't work. We got this, guys.
Well said, Nukes. And it's all important points. Max performance is what we want. And sleep, water, hydration, and nutrition are very important for that. And if you find yourself, and I want to challenge everyone to, for the next week, if you don't already do this, I'm going to challenge you to try to force yourself to get at least 7 hours of sleep during the course of the night. And I'm sure some of you are saying like, Psh, I get 10. But for those of you who don't, challenge yourself to get at least 7 hours of sleep and try to go to bed around the same time. And even if you just get in the bed, lay down, turn off the television, and if you feel like it's difficult to go to sleep, just close your eyes and take some deep breaths, and deep, slow breaths. And as Dan was referencing earlier about his nervous system, that helps settle your nervous system down, and it allows your body to be able to relax more. Go outside, get about 15 minutes of sun in the afternoon, and that night, try to get 7 hours of sleep and see how differently you feel going through the day. I promise you it makes a difference when you do that. So let's go now over to, so let me, I want to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and let Grace, because I know Grace was going to do the challenge. You were going to be first for the challenge, Grace. And I want to remind everyone that at the top of the space, there's a post that gives you the instructions on how the challenge works. That way you already know what to do and how it's going to operate when it's your turn to do the challenge. And then we'll jump right into it. So go ahead, Brenda.
False alarm. She came up. I thought she left.
Oh, okay. Heather. Got it. Okay. So Grace, are you ready for the challenge?
Well, by the help of God, I am.
Absolutely.
I'm expanding my comfort zone. I've been using that phrase all week. You know, I'm new here, so be gentle on Grandma Grace, even though I won the challenge last week, the quiz. My heart was racing. I have to slow myself down. And Liz, I'm sending you a big hug. I would have DM'd you, but I'm not verified on Earth, but God has me verified. And I also love the word harmony. And I just sending a big thank you. And I posted in the bubble thing to repost this. If you're getting any value, repost this. That's a way to thank Tim. You can send him Cash App. And I rarely do that, but I did last week because he's bringing value. And if you want this free content, show with your money, not with your mouth. Show with your actions and your words. Because when your actions and your words line up, that's your character. And that's finding harmony in on and off this digital life.
Excellent, Grace. Thank you for that.
Thank you for being you. And Brenda, you have taken notes. I've seen you bloom and blossom, like coming to the top of the class in just like 2 weeks. I saw you in another room and you found your space. And I'm just wanting everybody in this room to find their space and make their space, because that's what Tim wants. He wants us to all like multiply this kind of love and free and safe spaces. And I know his heart. And this is better than breakfast. This is better than church. Most churches, we are the church. So thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. Thank you, Grace.
And pardon me,
Grace,
Tim,
yes.
my emojis are not working. Thank you so much, Grace.
And Mama B, I don't want to leave you out. You are the queen, and I'm just saying you a huge hug. And I know you're competitive, and I am too, but I want us all to win. So I'm sending you a big hug, and I almost don't want to do the challenge because, man, you know, I could leave at the top, right, and just leave it right there. But I'm going to do it one way or the other. I love you.
Right, love you too. And you don't have to do it. I just wanted to make sure that I gave you the opportunity to do the 60-second challenge because you had your hand raised last week. But
I do want to do the challenge. It's the quiz at the end that was like,
yes, it's the quiz.
Talk about taking tests again. I haven't done that for decades.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a random topic, and your random topic is going to be balance. Your random topic is balance.
Balance. I actually like the word harmony because I too am a musician. In fact, as much as I love to bring music into people's worlds, I'd rather dance. I played the accordion, and there's a big balance there because it's almost like, well, it's like walking on a tightrope. You gotta keep your focus, right? Actually, I like the focus idea of the tightrope because to be on a tightrope, the most important thing is to see where you want to go. Because if you look down, you're going to go down. And if you look up, you're going to go up. We have to know where our eyes are headed. And I actually got to learn how to scuba dive by watching people do it, not scuba dive, water ski for the first time in my 50s. I thought, I'm going to learn how to do this. And I watched all summer. And at the end of summer, the young whippersnappers made me do it. And they said, hold on to the cord, keep your eyes up, and lean back. And it's everything you don't want to do. So there.
Awesome. Thank you, Grace. Let me ask you, so how do you feel about your response to the challenge? What's your thoughts on it?
I wished I had taken a few seconds longer to write down 3 points to stop and focus and get one story, get one clear story instead of going all over the place, which is why I'm here to be concise. And I want to excel. I want to be that A+ student. And I'm just grateful that I tried. Maybe like Nooks last week. I hope some people feel comfortable to come up because I didn't feel good about what I did, but I'm making myself go back and listen to what I share in different spaces. And I'm realizing how far I have to go. A lot of people want to hear what we have to say, but we have to learn how to say it concisely so that the energy. There was a brilliant thing somebody said this week. They said communication is the faithful passing of information and ideas to the other person. So I know I want to say, but the other person might not hear me because I'm not being concise. I'm not watching my pace, my pitch, my power, and my pauses. So I think I would give myself a B, but an A for effort.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I mean, I love how thoughtful you were about that. You know, the way that you thought through what it is that you felt like you could do better. And before I share, I want to see if anyone else wants to give feedback for Grace on her response to the challenge. Does anyone have their hand up to give feedback? Mama B, go ahead, Mama B.
Yeah, I was tied up in the back because I was busy buying you some cookies or coffee, whatever it is, because you're sounding a little parched. And I was posting that buy you a coffee thing in the chat. But yes, I was listening to Grace, and I actually enjoyed it. I know that you said that you would you feel that you'd have done better if you had written something down, and that always does help me too. When I have my thoughts straight. But I did enjoy what you said, and you shared how you love, did you say accordion, and you love harmony? So I learned something about you today. So thank you so much. Your pacing was great.
Absolutely. And I agree. I agree. And I love that you were aware of the fact that you shifted your story and that you could have just stayed where you were and not go in a different direction. And sometimes that happens because we feel like we haven't said enough. And when we feel like we haven't said enough, we start adding things that don't need to be there. And it can potentially diminish the impact of something very important that you said. So don't be afraid that just because you have 60 seconds doesn't mean you have to use 60 seconds. If what you have to say of value only takes 30 seconds, then take 30 seconds and end it at that point. Don't force yourself to add just because there's time. But if you have more to add within the time, add it, but only if it enhances what it is you're trying to say. And that's part of what our ability to be concise allows us to do, is to figure out how to refine our thoughts. And I love that you understand that if you were to write down those points, you could have been more clear and more precise in what you said. But just know you get to take your time. You can pause, because remember, everyone, as the instructions say, the timer begins when you do, when your response begins. So don't feel like you have to jump right into it. But great job, Grace. Great job. That's excellent. Excellent. And I love the way you actually implemented the 4 Ps, that even after the way that you were speaking, it was completely different from the way that you would typically share some thoughts. So yes, really quickly, Grace. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of concussions since I was little, and part of my challenge is the way my brain works. I have to know myself and be true to myself, and also just really keep that focus to stay on that tightrope. And so thank you. I will I don't like the tightrope analogy because it feels like you have to be on that thing. I think it's more like a dance, like a harmony. And so I'm going to use that. So anyway, sending you thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I love that, the dance as well. And that's what we want to do. Remember, everyone, you figure out what works for you, what helps you find that place of peace, comfort, balance, or whatever that gives you that sense of stability. You have to figure out what works for you. So let's go now over to, it's Muhammad. And then we got Muhammad, Endless Days. I think Endless Days is, okay, Endless Days may have had to drop. So we got Muhammad. Well, we'll go to Muhammad, and then I'll get the list together while we do that. We'll sort that out. Go ahead, Muhammad. So you want to do the challenge?
Yes, of course. And
Okay.
that's why I want to jump into the fire.
Yes, absolutely, sir. All right. So what I will give you as your random topic is going to be influence.
Influence. Okay. Usually, influence is taught with a word, and most of the time end up changing someone's life by the way you're saying. I hope everyone here got the influence that can transform it into a practical way. Also, in the same time as Mr. Tim had the influence on us. So that's it for me.
All right, all right. Thank you, sir. So let me ask, what's your take on that? How do you feel about the response?
Yeah, I feel a little bit, pressure to extract all the information that I want to say. But since I took the breathe at the first, yeah, it helped me to navigate a little of the words that I want to say. So yeah, breathe. It's good.
Awesome, awesome. I love that assessment of what it was you did and your take on that. And Mama B, you want to give some feedback?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, Muhammad says, yeah, it was good, and it's true, it was good, and I wrote down here that the 4 Ps. I mean, that was exceptional. How you took your time. I need to take a breath myself, because your pacing, your pitch, and your pause, and I forget what. No, power. Yes, I remember that. I'm proud of myself, and so that was good. That was good, Muhammad. I really enjoyed just listening to you. Your voice, just the presence of your voice was great. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I totally agree. And I love that you paused in the beginning. As you mentioned, you took your time and you didn't just jump right in. You gave yourself a moment to process what influence meant to you and how you wanted to approach the response. And when someone gives you the mic and asks you a question, you have the option to do that. Many people won't because we get so caught up trying to give people what we think they want to hear in the way that we think they want to hear it, as opposed to giving them what we have to offer. And we have to really be mindful of that. Give what you have to offer, not what you think they want to hear. And sometimes what you have to offer may simply be that I honestly don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to look it up and figure it out. This gives me something new to think about. And I love that Grace, when she did her challenge, she said, you know what? I prefer harmony over balance. And she took it in a different direction. And that's what you have the option to do. When people are listening to you, you get to dictate those moments. And that's why, as confident and effective communicators, we are the thermostats in our environment. We get to set the temperature when it gets a little too hot. We can turn the temperature down so things cool off with our words and the way that we navigate these moments. So we have the power to do that. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you for that, sir. Great demonstration of doing the work. So it was awesome. It really was. Brenda, you going to say something?
These emojis are giving me a hard time. I apologize.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. We know the platform doesn't always work the way we need it to. So we do what we can and we keep moving. So thank you for that. So we'll go now to, we've got Journeyman, Brock, Heather, and then Ingrid. Well, Journeyman, yes, and Ingrid. So Journeyman, how are you, sir?
Oh man, Tim, it's been such a long time since I've seen you. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, sir. I cannot complain at all. It's always, as someone used to say, it's better to be glad to be seen and not viewed. So I'm grateful to be able to be here and good to see you back, man. Good to see you back.
Yeah, for sure, man. I see your spaces sometimes. I can't join them all the time. I'm a little busy on Saturdays usually. I'm actually packing to go see my family. So I'm going to be traveling soon. But I thought I'd drop by in your space, do a challenge. I always love doing your challenges, and then you know, keep doing what you're doing, man.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate that, sir. And I love that. He said he's balancing it out. He sees the space, but he can't jump in because he has other priorities. We have to understand our priorities and not feel the guilt, FOMO, unreasonable expectations, or lack the honesty with ourselves that we might need to do some things differently. So your topic, Journeyman, is going to be difficulty.
Okay. I guess difficulty is one of those things that everyone faces, right? And we actually don't talk about it enough. It's probably something that's overwhelming. It can feel heavy. It's almost like some big wall is standing between us, based on where we want to go. But the thing is, there isn't anything that can really block us, right? Difficulty isn't there to just block us. Like, it teaches us something too. It teaches you how to build resilience and just to learn what you're really capable of. So when things do get hard, it's easy to feel like, you know, you should quit or you're not cut out for what you're about to do. But usually that's just part of the process. It's the difficult moments that push us out of our comfort zones and make us want to grow. So instead of seeing difficulty as the enemy, you probably need to try and look at it as a sign of moving forward and stepping up and just getting stronger. And just push through with whatever you're trying to push through, and you can make it.
Well done, sir. Well done. So what's your thoughts on that?
My friend, I've been doing your challenges for so long. I do a lot of communication stuff at work as well. So I love doing this stuff. To be honest, it would be a biased assessment if I gave a score to myself. I think I did okay. I could have paused a little bit more. I know a lot of the times, especially even now with what I do for work and everything, like, even when there's a time limit on something, or even if there's an audience present, I still get those freaking butterflies in my stomach. But it's something difficult, and you got to push through, and you'll get to where you need to be to make that impactful statement. So I think I did okay. I'd give myself, I don't know, a B plus, A minus. What do you think?
So, well, before I do, Brenda, did you want to give some feedback to Journeyman?
Well, he did superb. I was just going to give a question from the comments when you have time.
Okay. So I will say, and I know Journeyman has been, he does presentations for work and different environments. And it's one of those situations for everyone, that no matter how long you've been doing something, always keep in mind that there's room to refine even the things that we do well. That's why professionals still practice. That's why professional golfers still have coaches, because they always are looking for ways to refine. And it isn't so much the obvious elements or aspects of what you do. You now get to a point where you begin to refine the details. Am I articulating the ends of the words that I speak? Things like that. You get down to the details of what you're doing, and that's where you begin to excel even more. So keep that in mind, keep practicing, and never feel like we've gotten to a point that there isn't something that we can do to get better. And that's why Journeyman still does the challenges, because and as he mentioned, the butterflies, but he understands how to manage those butterflies. No one would have, he didn't specifically say he had butterflies just now, but he brought those up as something that potentially happens at times, but he understands how to work through that. In spite of the butterflies, you still give what you have to offer and not let that hold you back. So thank you for that, Journeyman. So
can I comment on Journeyman?
Yes, go ahead, bro.
Yes. You did great, but more so than pushing, just let it flow. You don't have to push, just let it flow.
Great point. And just in case that doesn't make sense for someone, pushing would be you trying to force thoughts and ideas that aren't necessarily natural. but the brains that we have are phenomenal parts of our body. Our brains are phenomenal tools. And as we learn, this is one of the reasons it's so important for us to continue to learn and continue to grow, because in moments like this, our brain has the ability to go in and find all this information to come back and create cohesive stories based on our experiences and our knowledge. Because if we spend too much time in environments where we can't grow and thrive, we don't have any resources for our brain to pull from. That's why I think it was Grace or Liz or someone mentioned the audiobooks. Continue to learn. Always spend time learning so that these challenges like this, those moments where it may not be a challenge and you may be in front of an interviewer, you may be in front of an investor, and your brain needs to be able to tap into the information, knowledge, and wisdom that you have. And when you do that, it flows because you're not focused on making mistakes and messing up. You're just focused on what it is you have to offer and you trust in it, just like you trust yourself as well. So great point, Brock. Thank you for that, sir. And thank you, Journeyman, for that. Excellent job. And I thought you did a great job. I don't think I actually said that. But yes, I thought you did a great job because I know, and you have your style, the way that you speak as well. So that's something that I'm able to take into consideration that others may not understand about you. So it was in line with what you do, sir. Definite confidence that you had. And, it was a great message that you provided at the same time with that. So let's go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tim, just one thing I wanted to
Yes.
say, like you actually know how to really just pinpoint other people and bring them up and lift them up even when they're trying hard. And I just want to thank everyone on the stage here because you always start somewhere, right? And this is the best place to start, to be honest, to be able to properly communicate and just talk to people and understand the energies that come out from everybody. And even if you're just starting, it's the fact that you're taking your first step forward into being that better communicator or that better conversationalist. That's actually just going to push you into the stratosphere of your success. So thanks, Tim, bro. You always carry out such a great space. Always get value from it, man.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that, sir. I really do. And thank you for the added layer of encouragement for those of you that may be here for the first time or first couple of times. This is what we do in this space, in this community, is we encourage one another. So it isn't just me, it's everyone that comes up. All the speakers that come, people that have been here for a while, they understand what we do, why we do it, and the value of what it is that we do. And sometimes we just need someone to tell us that we can, because we may have had people so many times in our past to tell us that we couldn't. You just simply need someone to tell you that you can, that you matter, that you're important, and that what you have to offer is valuable. And those are just some of the things that we do. So thank you again for that, Journeyman. So let's go over to Brock. We got Brock, Heather, Ingrid, and then, yes, Brock, Heather, Ingrid, and then I'm going to see about Vapaz. Yes. All right. So Brock.
Yeah, just real quick. I don't want to take up space. I just wanted to say that to Grace, what you said is profound as far as putting the value that Tim brings and making it tangible. That is such a blessing and a reward that I just wanted to tell you guys that I went to the barbershop today and around a bunch of men, and before I left, my haircut was paid for. And it was being thoughtful and being a good communicator that he said, I got your haircut. And I say that to say it reciprocates. The process does. I cannot give the giver. And that's just my testimony for this week. I've been going through a lot of things, but I don't want to stop what I know I'm supposed to do, regardless of how it looks. And that was it. I didn't want to do a challenge. I'm a challenge crusher.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that, Brock. And you never know how things will pan out in your life when you become a confident and effective communicator and you're willing to speak up. If there's a saying that says the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and there's another one that says closed mouths don't get fed. So we have to be willing to say the things that are on our hearts with appropriateness, of course. There's always a balance to that. But as confident and effective communicators, we're attentive to that. The impact that we have on people's lives when we choose to say things to them, the way we say it, all of that matters. So appreciate that, Brock. Brock said he is a challenge crusher. I love it, sir. So what we'll do is go over now to Heather. Heather, how are you today? Great to see you.
Hey, it's great to be here. I made it to one of your spaces. I joined in earlier on my professional account and then realized I want to join in on this account. So I hope I'm coming through okay, simply because I'm in a rural area right now, dropping my son off for tennis. And so, but that I wanted to add though real fast, Muhammad sounded like Earl Nightingale, reminded me of him. So I really like that tone of his. I love this challenge piece too. To be able to speak on the fly, that's an interesting skill. So anyway, I just wanted to jump in and say hi, and I don't mind to do the challenge, but I am a little distracted as I'm in my vehicle.
Understood. Well, we believe in safety first. We can always practice our communication when it's safe. So we will defer that because I think we're going to have you back in here anyway, Heather. So here in the near future, I still want to get you in here to do some things with the space. So we'll do the challenge later. So just stay safe. Stay safe.
Oh, well, I'm actually parked right now. If you want to do it, I'm
Okay.
not actually in my. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do that then. So so your random topic, Heather, is going to be, and this is, let's see, I'm going to do an old one that you haven't heard before. So we see how she handles this, everyone. Purple Rain. Purple Rain.
Okay, well, before I get started, because I don't know how this space is ran with the noises, does you set it off at the 30-second mark and then the last one at the 60?
At the 15-second,
Okay.
45 seconds. Yeah, there's 15 seconds left when the timer goes off on this.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Purple Rain. Well, I actually do not have an association to Purple Rain. But what I can do is identify with the example of purple and rain coming together. So from an energy perspective, people who are seen in the overall aura of purple tend to be high listeners, empathetic, and really take into account other people's feelings and navigating that well, which can, in relation, associate with rain, and that they're comforting and that they create a sense of peace, because oftentimes people feel that whenever they hear rain occurring. And so I, again, don't have an association to purple rain in itself, but hopefully bringing that together creates a different viewpoint.
All right. All right. So I want to begin with you. I know I have some thoughts, but I want to hear what your thoughts are first. What do you think about the response?
Wow. I oftentimes enjoy when I feel like I have some existing experience to add value to something when I speak. And in this case, I actually didn't have an association. So that really actually challenged me in a way that made me actually really uncomfortable. So it was actually fun in that way, because I really had no clue what I was going to say. And I'm rarely met with that. So there was a few times where I felt you could catch that my thoughts weren't coming together. But again, in a moment where I'm uncomfortable and I really have nothing to say, it was an expectation. So I'm actually proud of myself because I did better than I thought I was going to based on the topic.
Well, very well done. And I love that you understand what you were dealing with, what was happening inside your head and the circumstances. And that makes a difference. We have to understand what the experience is we're having in order to figure out how to make adjustments and corrections to identify the opportunities. Did you want to give feedback, Brenda?
Tim, did you call me?
Yes, yes. Did
Oh
you?
my God. Elon, will you stop doing this?
Oh,
First of all, I want to say to Heather, I love your profile. I love excuse me, your picture. I love the colorful hair, and there's purple in your hair. So that could be why Tim picked Purple Rain. And I saw him do this one time before when he said he saw cooking on someone's page, and that person was completely stumped. So this is very interesting to me.
You know, it's actually funny because purple is my favorite color, but I was trying to marry how purple and rain could come together to where it would make sense to speak about the word itself.
I think you did a great job. I loved it.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And you did with it what you felt you had the ability to offer. And that's what I want everyone to always keep in mind. Give what you have to offer, not what you think people want to hear. Because many times people don't really know what they want. How many of you have ever been hungry and you're sitting there saying, I am so hungry right now. And then someone asks, well, where do you want to go? And you sit there dumbfounded, like, I don't know. But you're hungry, but you don't really know what you want. And that happens in so many situations. So when you're speaking and sharing, give what you have, not what you think they want. And it makes it so much easier. And that's when you're able to flow, as Brock mentioned, as opposed to trying to force it or push the issue in those moments. Go ahead, Brenda.
This place is popping today. We are not taking any more requests. I think we're going to close on time. Bless you all.
Yes, thank you for that. I think we may be on track for that. So we're going to go to Ingrid. Ingrid, yes, ma'am. So I know the ambassador has a final thought she wants to share.
Oh my God, Tim, Brenda, Mama B. This space today, I tell you, it is off the chart. Again, okay, the people that came up and took the challenges, oh my God, you just don't know. Each challenge, you took it and gave a perspective and took us to a journey. And that's for Journeyman. I know that you're used to doing this, but you really took us on a journey and it's nice. And the purple rain one, oh my God, that was, I want you, when you go home, I want you to also put on Prince and listen to Purple Rain because when you spoke and what you said, and when you combined the two, you took me on a ride as well. Tim, I'm telling you, these spaces are a wealth of knowledge. And it bothers me when I try to share this with certain people that have this attitude that because spaces has been so toxic, they take it so personal and they don't want to go in any spaces and you go, but it's a safe space, it's a good space. So what I'm telling some of my folks now, if you don't want to come into the space, that's fine, you could listen anonymously and still take on, or later on go back and replay, because I believe and I know for a fact anybody that listens to this space or comes to this space is definitely leaving with something good in their heart. And I want to thank you, Tim. You are doing the best you can. You have definitely you've been bestowed this gift. And I know everyone that I invite to the space, they love it. They come back. So go back and do the replay. So I want to encourage people, if you don't have the time, do the replay while doing all the other things you need to do. You know, you just make it seem like somebody's around you just talking, and all you have to do is listen. And trust me, all the listening that you do, by the time you end that session, you're going to say, oh my God, what I got here today. This was definitely worth a pot of gold. So appreciate it, encourage it, share with others, because I'm telling you, we all are learning. And I'm 67 and I'm still learning and I love it. And I love the challenges. And I want to say, thank you, thank you, thank you, you guys. You guys are doing a great job. And one thing I must say, because I will not be Ingrid if I don't say it, we have to vote on Tuesday. We have to vote on Tuesday. We have two choices, good or bad. And I hope we all pick the good, because joy and hopefulness makes us conquer anything we want. So just keep that in mind. We want that joy. We want that hopefulness, because we are out there trying to restore and win back those souls that have been lost. Thank you for allowing me to speak and also throw in my little political bit. Thanks again.
Thank you, Ingrid. And we appreciate the love and the support that you continue to give everyone. And all of that makes a difference. It matters, everyone. There's a cumulative effect that helps us all grow and continue to believing in yourself. Now, what I want to do, I know it's 1:16 now, and I mentioned at the beginning of the space that we would do this quiz, this live game quiz. And what I've done is in the chat, I've posted the link to the quiz. And I'll give a few moments for those that want to join. And before you click on the link, you'll see the picture that says, and the winner is. When you click on the link, it'll take you to the page and you'll put in your name. I would encourage you to use a name that's recognizable so that if you win, I'll know who the winner is and be able to send you a link so that we can do the 20-minute AMA, the Ask Me Anything session. We'll have some different prizes going forward at some point in time. And there may not be a prize every time, but I just want you to know that when you go into the page, you won't be able to hear what's happening in the space, but that's okay. I won't begin or say anything that I think you would need to hear while you're over there. And everything is going to be focused on the game once you get in there. So I'm going to play this little song right quick and give everyone a chance that wants to join. It's no pressure, but once this song goes off, it's about 52 seconds. Then I'm going to begin the game and I'll read the questions. So those of you that don't join the game, the live game, you're able to just answer on your own. So this is based on information from a previous space, because we're trying to make sure that we're retaining the things that we discuss, not just talking about it, but we want to make sure that we actually are able to recall what we discuss and are applying it in our lives as well. So I'm going to play this and give those who may want to participate an opportunity to join. And the winner, I'll set up a 20-minute one-on-one, and you can ask whatever it is you want to ask. So here we go. All right. So we've got a couple people that are in. It looks like we have about 7 people that are participating. So for those of you who are going to participate in the online version, you can go ahead and go over, and I will begin the game in about 5 seconds once you get joined. And remember, for those of you that are still in the space, what I'll do is I'll read the questions in case you want to just test yourself. So here we go. Let the game begin. All right, and the first question is, what I don't know with? What should one replace the phrase "I don't know" with? The answers are I can't, I will try to find out, I don't know, or ask someone else. I can't, I will try to find out, or ask someone else. All right, so, and right now, Space Baby is in the lead, Great Game is in second, and Mama B is in third. And the second question is, assuming the worst is a common obstacle that hinders people from stepping into opportunities, true or false? Assuming the worst is a common obstacle that hinders people from stepping into opportunities, true or false? So we're going to go to question 3. And right now, Space Baby is no longer in the lead. Great Game has jumped into first place. Christy is now in second, and Space Baby is in third. The next question is, why is it important to embrace and learn from difficult interactions? Why is it important to embrace and learn from difficult interactions? The answers are they build instant confidence, they provide opportunities to quit, or they help build character, patience, and discernment. We'll pause a moment. All right. Everyone has answered. So we're going to see where we are now. And right now, as the leaderboard shifts, Great Game is still in first, Christy's in second, and Grace has moved her way up into third place as we go to the next question. And the next question is, aggressive responses are a demonstration of real power and authority. Aggressive responses are a demonstration of real power and authority, true or false? I think everyone is good on that. All the answers are in. And we move to the next one. As the leaderboard shuffles, in between questions, it shuffles the leaderboard, and you get more points for answering faster with each question. And Great Game is still holding on to the lead. Christy is still in second, and Grace is still in third, with Mama B in a closely held fourth place. As we go to the next question, which is, what example was given to illustrate the concept of power without authority? What example was given to illustrate the concept of power without authority? A police officer directing traffic, a person stopping traffic by stepping into the road, a parent disciplining a child. And I think everyone has answered. And the leaderboard begins to shuffle. We'll see who's in first place now. See if Great Game is still in the lead. Whoa, and it looks like Christy has jumped out into the lead with Grace in second and Great Game now in third, but Mama B still holding steady in fourth. So we're going to go to the next round, and we have 2 more questions after this. What should you believe about yourself when cultivating a life of power and authority? What should you believe about yourself when cultivating a life of power and authority? 1, I can make no mistakes. 2, I must seek approval. Or 3, I am wonderfully and beautifully made. All right. As we go to the next question, the next and final question. And as the leaderboard shuffles, Christy is still in the lead, Grace is still in second, and Great Game is in third. We have no changes yet, but we have one final question, everyone. Let's see where we end up. To truly cultivate a life of power and authority, you must walk in it. True or false? To truly cultivate a life of power and authority, you must walk in it. True or false? And the answer is true. And now we'll see who ends up on the top. So it's calculating the results. And as the balloons begin to come in third place, we have Great Game. In second place, we have Grace. And then first place, we have Christy. Christy jumped into the lead and never gave it up. So we'll say congratulations to you, Christy. You are today's winner. And thank you all for participating in this pop quiz challenge that we're doing. And we'll do these. We'll do more of these. And again, this is so that we can, I know some people have that competitive spirit, that competitive edge, and friendly competition can be good. It can be fun for us to do. But at the same time, as we're growing and learning in this space, this is just another way for us to make sure that we are continuing to move forward and make progress. So I saw Brenda's hand and then Mama B's hand. Go ahead, Brenda.
Well, first of all, I wanted to answer the lady's question. She's not in here anymore, but we can answer it on the comment. And secondly, I don't like this game anymore. I came in 8th place. I don't want to play anymore.
Well, you know what? Everyone is a winner. Everyone is a winner on these games. Just know that, even if it's 8th place. Mama B, go ahead.
Oh, congratulations to the winners. I forgot the names, 1, 2, 3. But I am the winner. I wasn't on the podium, but I am the winner because, you know, Tim, I beat my competition. Sorry.
There we go. Some things are more important. You know, you have those professional teams that a coach can lose 10 out of 11 games, but as long as the game that they won is the one against their arch rival, they're usually okay. You've got to win this one game if no other. So Mama B says she beat Shari. So congratulations, Mama B. And I see Christy came up. So we brought Christy up because Christy was the winner. Congratulations, Christy.
Oh my goodness. It's just great to be here. Thank you, Tim, Mama B. I mean, I haven't spoken in a long time and I've been listening as often as I can. And anyway, that was a fun game. And does that means I get a one-on-one with you? What?
Yes. I'm gonna set up a 20-minute one-on-one session that we can have a conversation and you can ask questions. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was fun. And I appreciated the topic as always. It's like one of the highlights of my week and the speakers were incredible. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'll send you a message so we can get that set up as well. So thank you all for participating. I really appreciate that and hope everyone enjoyed it. Those that did participate, and hopefully we get more people to join in the future to do this. It really is fun to do. So what I'll do now is we're going to go over to Brenda. Do you have any final thought? Oh, the question. What was the question, Brenda? Let's answer that question.
She's not in the room anymore, so we can just answer via typing later. You can answer. And she just wanted to know how to manage time better, basically. But my final thoughts are this. You guys, I was Space Baby. I do go around to all the spaces. They can be toxic, but I'm good at this. I used to work in a job where people literally threw poop at me. And so I'm very good at this, but you know what? I do have to take breaks because that energy will go through that phone and it will get your spirit. So this was a great room and I loved being up here. Tim, thank you so much for trusting me. And I hope everyone has a great rest of the weekend. And thank you, Mama B. Nice flying with you.
I love it. And so she asked, how can she get better at managing time? Is that what you said the question was?
Yes, she had a lot of she had a lot to do and she needs let me go to the question very quickly. Oh my gosh, come on. Up.
Well, if it's layered, I guess, and you made a good decision earlier to just respond in the chat. So that's what we'll go ahead and do. Yeah. So thank you for that. Mama B. What is you have some final thoughts?
Yes, we come to the end of another communion, Saturday communion, because this place, this space feels like communion to me because we are knitting and weaving community with our communication. So every one of you is part of that. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Tim, for the hard work that you put into these spaces. And thank you, Brenda. It was beautiful, always beautiful flying with you. And thank you,
I'm
Tim.
so
Have a
sorry about
wonderful
this.
day, everybody.
Oh, he put it down. The hand went down. Sorry, sir. Sorry, Tim.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Mama B. Thank you. And before we close, I want to just thank everyone, all the listeners that are here that have been listening in as well. So I want to thank Mary Beth. Congratulations on new opportunities in life. Rose, Hero X community, Ryan, great to see you. And it's great to see all of you. I'm not sure why I do that or why sometimes we will pick certain parts or people or names and we add more to it. But I appreciate all of you just the same. So just know that. But great to see you, Kim, Rookie, Shari, Roxy, Richard, Sergeant Seggs, Ethos Ambassador, Huns Tactical, T2, Amen, Kelly, Shelly, also wait a minute, hold on, let me try to get this right. And the name just changed on me. So Entertain Artists. We've got Almadi. I'm going to say, hopefully that's correct. Almadi. And then we also have Tiagraj. And then we have Judith. We have Aji. I'm Bob, Melissa, and Bankman. And thank you all for bearing with me as I do that. I like to try to take that time in that moment to read the names of people that are listening in because I don't get to thank them directly when they speak the way that I do with speakers. So I appreciate all of your time and value your presence. And I hope that everyone has taken something away from the conversation today. Remember to continue to share because as we become more confident and effective communicators, we have the ability to change the world one interaction at a time. Every time we have a positive impact in someone's life, it changes someone else's life because the people they know, we may not know, but they do. So when they have an experience with you, they get to take that with them to someone else, be it good or bad. So make sure that we always leave the impression that we want to be remembered for because you only get one chance to make a first impression. But also remember that as we find balance in this digital life, never forget that your interactions in this environment is just as real as your interaction when you speak to someone in the break room on your job. It's just the same. It has the same potential implications, possibilities, and opportunities. So always keep that in mind. But thank you all again. I'm so grateful. And I hope that everyone stays safe and has a fantastic rest of the weekend. And for those of you that did not get an opportunity to speak today, please come back. Make sure you join us again, and we'll make sure that we get you that opportunity to come and be a part of what we're doing here in the Confident Speaking community. And I will follow up with you, Christy. Everyone, take care. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Confident Speaking Space.